Pakistan. Al-Qaeda did not start in Saudi Arabia, as is often thought. He wanted to create a rapid deployment force of experienced fighters for the armed jihad, to be commanded by himself and a small cadre of veteran jihadist revolutionaries. The movement that bin Laden initiated in his sitting room in exile ballooned into a global movement of political cadres, public intellectuals and street preachers, military fighter brigades, and webmasters waging online jihad. Decades later, the movement that bin Laden started is operating on 5 continents and includes an estimated 100,000 armed fighters in Asia and Africa. The number is based on reporting by the Analytical Support Team of the United Nations Security Council's ISIL, Daesh, and Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee, and analyses by independent researchers. A report from 2018 by the Center for Strategic and International Studies estimated the number of active Al-Qaeda-aligned fighters to be closer to 250,000, 270% higher than in 2001 at the time of the 9/11 attacks. No one really knows precisely how many there are. This book is about the Western branch organizations in this global movement. Western democracies have been the target and, paradoxically, home base, sometimes a sanctuary, for the global jihadist movement. Jihadism is fueled by a revulsion against the values and objectives that sustain global growth and openness. Nevertheless, the movement thrives on globalization. Nationalists mourn the erosion of borders caused by globalization. The jihadists see it as an opportunity. They fight not for control of a patch of land. They fight against the system of states. Al-Qaeda and the jihadist movement, broadly defined as the networks and organizations, supporters and propagandists aligned with Al-Qaeda or the Islamic State, is not, of course, only, or even primarily, a Western phenomenon. In the 1990s, Osama bin Laden developed the doctrine of attacking the far enemy, the United States and its Western allies, on the assumption that relentless terrorism against American and Western targets would compel the United States to withdraw support from governments in the Muslim world. The strategy anticipates that, in consequence, the near enemy, the political classes in Muslim-majority countries, will be left vulnerable to the religious revolution that the jihadists see as the first step to the creation of a universal reign under God's law. It is a fantastical belief system. However, it is no more fantastical than revolutionary Marxism, which envisioned a stateless world to be brought into being by the awakening of the global proletariat, and which attracted followers across the world for 150 years. That people hold to fanatical ideologies is not what needs to be explained. The puzzle is how a belief system that kills off its followers at a high rate and is violently inimical not just to Western democracy but to all existing forms of Muslim governments, can attract followers among Western Muslims and converts to Islam. The argument of this book is that the diffusion of jihadist extremism in Western democracies was driven by the strategic objectives of Osama bin Laden and the global movement he spearheaded, rather than, as is often argued, by local grievances of Western Muslims. I use the word movement to describe the global jihadist organization, but it is in fact more than a social movement. Social movements usually are seen as leaderless, fuzzy communities held together by shared ideas. The global jihadist movement is also held together by ideas, but the global organization has hierarchies and authority structures that create a hard core of control and command. It is these clandestine command structures that make it possible for the global movement to engage in coordinated insurgencies and manage terrorist campaigns across continents, and to do so in the pursuit of a